I think that this is just a very relevant topic right now. There's a lot going on in the space around digital advertising trends that are changing. There's an election happening where there's a lot of inventory that's on certain channels that's being occupied. So it'll be a fun thing to get into here. So let's go ahead and get started with a quick overview. Just if you're not familiar with NetSertive yet, at NetSertive, we really help you take control of your brand at the local level. And our expertise is really around localized digital marketing. We do everything from paid, organic SEO, web solutions. We've facilitated $2 billion in media spend through our platform. And we have award-winning brand and location support. Yeah, if you work with us, you'll have named account managers. And we have over 100 multi-location brands that we work with. So we're on the channels, we're doing the thing, we're working with franchise marketers and franchisees to help them grow their networks. And Herb and I are excited to dive in and share some of what we've been seeing right now. What we're really going to dive into is what's working well for local lead gen in 2024. And part of what's working well for sure is using data. I'm sure you've heard that a lot, but what we're going to get into today is really how to actually do that. So how to use your data to do more of what's working and keep growing despite economic uncertainty. And of course, we'll have Q&A. If anyone has Q&A, any questions, just jump right in at any time. And so with that, I think we can get going here. Anything else you want to say, Herb?
No, I don't think so. Again, the data workflows is something that I'm always really interested in, hearing what our customers are doing and where their pain points are and finding solutions to them.
Absolutely. So what we're hearing from franchise marketers is that they're feeling a lot of pain around lead gen in the sense that it is fragmented, it's siloed, it feels overwhelming. We hear people saying that it feels like the market is softening, that the cost per lead is rising, there's inconsistent local marketing execution, there's difficulty in tracking ROI and integrating data and workflows. The budget allocation and marketing mix are presenting challenges. Getting spam or low quality leads is a pain point. People are unsure now how SEO factors into the mix, right? They hear things are changing all the time. What do they really need to be doing? How does that factor into lead gen? There's seasonality and market fluctuations. People are trying to adapt to changes in digital marketing trends, which we'll definitely talk about today as well. And they're feeling when they do have something successful, it's difficult to scale. Maybe they start scaling it and it breaks, or it doesn't work as well, or it works in one location but not another. There's discrepancies between franchisee expectations and reality. I know we have some franchisees on today as well. That's always the balance between trying to set expectations and then deliver on the promises, so you're not over promising and under delivering. And also quality follow-up on best fit leads is a big challenge. And I think the big theme for today is that maximizing local lead generation, which is what everybody signed up for, it takes optimizing the local customer journey through better experiences, better use of data, and better integrated workflows.
Yep.
So whenever we talk about maximizing lead gen, it's not just the get more leads, right? I know Herb, you always talk about that.
For sure, for sure. There's way more that goes into better and more leads generation than setting up a nice ad and driving people to your website. There's like near an infinite number of pathways potential customers can follow to become part of your pipeline these days. And you have to have a strategy in place and a workflow ready to handle that. And then you have to capitalize on each of those. And you want to do that in a way that doesn't require an army of people to manage and follow up on every single lead.
Yeah, that's so true. And I know this is another one of your favorite slides that's ever been
Yes.
created by you. Uh, Digital marketing hierarchy of needs. I think this is a good way that people can orient themselves to right? Because everyone on this call is a marketing leader in some way, and you all are smart. You have been at this a long time, and you're still running into things that are not working. What worked at another network isn't working for you now. And how do you orient yourself to think about the hierarchy of needs?
Yeah, so these aren't necessarily steps that you have to take one at a time, moving only to the next step in the list after mastering the first, right? As you build on these layers, you're going to have your your entire business and your marketing strength will continue to grow and become more solid. So it all kind of happens together, but you can focus on strategic initiatives in each one of these sections. So at the base of all this is your website. It may be a no-brainer, but this is where just about everybody is going to land when they're trying to learn more about your business and what you do, especially at a local level. And you want to have relevant content there that's engaging. It gives them all the answers that they're looking for, but you want to make it easy for somebody to say, I want to learn more. I want to go to the next step. Uh, one step up from that, you have digital presence or things like your business listings, reviews, and social media content. And all of these things drive more organic traffic to your business. And, you need to take claim to those digital profiles. Now, you don't want to leave things like updating your hours of operation or what types of products or services you offer, or even your brand personality to the open internet. It's a wild west out there, and you have a specific type of personality you want to bring in your social media, specifically responding to reviews. And you know when it comes to your hours of operations, you don't want somebody to say, oh, they're closed on Mondays, because every time I've gone there, they just weren't there. And that's not true, right? Like, it's something easy for you to do, but it does make a huge difference. And as we start seeing more add like implementation of AI and the AI auto responses from Google when you do searches, a lot of that is driven by what they find on your website and those digital profiles in the digital presence section. So definitely want to make sure that you're on top of those things. And then digital marketing, SEO is that paid digital marketing to that next step of complexity, so you can be more proactive, growing awareness of your business. And as we're on topic today, driving local engagement and more leads. From there, once someone from any one of these sources calls you or fills out a form on your website or wherever, they're now part of your lead funnel and your workflow. And it's very important that you're intentional about what that looks like. You don't want to drop leads on the floor, and you want to be able to follow up quickly. And then
Yeah,
all along the way, you're gathering this intelligence and this first party data, which, again, as you all probably heard, is growing in importance. And you need to be able to turn that into actionable insights. The data is kind of useless if you don't use it, right? You got to put it into action, do something with it. And this allows you to make sure that you spend your next marketing dollar on the next right thing to make sure you're hitting your ROI goals and improvements.
yeah, no, it's great. I think when you really are talking about maximizing lead gen, right? There's, of course, you can say, hey, let's tweak a campaign. Let's find better keywords. Let's add negative keywords. Optimize the basic fundamentals of a campaign. But
Mhm.
to really maximize lead generation, it's taking into account the customer journey, and it's understanding that it's a multi-touch. They're looking at your organization from every different entry point online,
Yep.
and it really takes optimizing all of those and pulling them into workflows. And
Yep.
and really, this I think is a great overview of those pillars of localized digital marketing success, because it shows just how it all has to connect together.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. So I think on the left, you kind of see a simple illustration of your brand has direct access to your consumers and your businesses, customers. But that also goes through every franchisee at the local level. And you really have to make sure that all those things are aligned and there's a solid strategy across the brand, to give a consistent experience, and make sure that, as part of the franchise being kind of like a business in a box, that's repeatable and it's a similar experience no matter if you're in Raleigh or you're in Pittsburgh or Seattle or wherever. And then on the right side, I am not going to go through each and every one of these boxes, of course, but you can see that all of these things working in harmony is going to be a huge, difficult problem to solve if you're trying to get your head around all those things. There's just a lot there. But I would say that doesn't mean you should delay action or decision on things. It's very tempting to say that this is a huge project and there's so much to do. We're so far behind on this data stuff that we can't start it yet, or it's going to take 2 years to figure it all out and get it right. Like the reality is, like, you don't have the luxury of being able to wait and figure it out because it's already happening today. It is whatever it is. So you got to start making it better, as soon as you can. And the nice thing is, I think you can take this and I think you can simplify as much as you possibly can. Make sure that you map out all the components of your workflow today and just be intentional about the value of each step and make sure that things are working together as expected. And that's going to be hugely beneficial to you. Some of the most interesting conversations or I have with customers or prospects is going through their workflows and helping to simplify those, helping to identify where we can jump in, where we can start sending leads into the workflow or be that central hub that moves things around into the next step, starts doing some of the automation. And then ideally, that final loop of bringing it back home to ROAS or your return on ad spend so that you can make better data-driven decisions.
Yeah.
So there's a lot there.
No, there's a lot there, but I think this is a great roadmap for a franchise marketing leader. If you put this up and you start filling it out, almost like blow it out, say what dashboards do we have? Where is that data coming from? How you can really trace it back through, right? And
Yeah,
even you can draw lines between these boxes
right.
and see where are the integrations and connections. Can you
Yeah.
see in your CRM? Can you see CRM data in your BI dashboards? Can you see point of sale data, right? Is the ERP system out on an island somewhere, or is that connected in? And so just starting to factor all of that in and figure out your data model really overall um,
Mhm.
is it's not necessarily a shiny, fun, quick exercise, right? But that's
Yeah.
exactly why it's so important and so valuable because it
Yep.
is rolling up your sleeves and figuring it out and chasing it down, right?
Mhm. Yeah, and I think the way to start is, these are all the lead sources. It's a phone call, it's a form fill from these pages, it's maybe even a form extension or a lead ad from Google or a Facebook, and following those through the system. And where does it land at the end of the day? And where does, if you've got a sales team that has to follow up on these leads, what are they using? What's driving that? How do they get from A to B? Uh, we've had a lot of conversations about these types of things with customers. Again, um, we've had examples where we were sending lead alert emails, hey, you've got all these leads. They print them out. They would literally print them out. It would be a stack of papers this big, and they would drop them on one of the interns' desks on Friday afternoon and say, hey, I need you to put all these into your CRM system. And that's their lead workflow. Not great. We were able to, resolve that and automate the ingestion of all those leads directly into their system, save them a ton of time and money because it took, real manpower to get that completed.
Yeah, it's ultimately the marketing operations challenges are something I think that you have to just continuously be sniffing for and making sure you're not missing leads or sometimes if you're a senior leader you're not necessarily in the systems and really understanding how quickly are leads being followed up on, for example, right? You see more higher level reporting, so you're not necessarily really putting yourself in the customer's shoes every day. I was just talking to one of our colleagues here at NetCertive who said that he had to get a new water heater, and there was uh, a referral program with the energy company, and so he entered his information, and he got a call within an hour from one provider. They came out, They said, here's the price, here's the discount you get. And he had everything done very quickly. And he was
Mhm.
very happy about that because he doesn't like taking freezing cold showers.
Right. When
But
you need hot water, you need hot water.
exactly, you need hot water. And the point of the story is that he was getting calls from new uh, potential vendors for him, right, for 3 weeks afterwards. So that type of a thing happens all the time. So it really is getting in and asking the basic questions around the customer journey. Are we following up with leads quickly enough? Are the filters on the views we're using in our CRM correct for the person who's receiving these leads? Right?
Yeah.
I've heard of people that are, they're missing 15% or 30% of their leads because a filter is wrong on the dashboard, right, that they're looking at. So it's
Or the
really,
website just dropped it.
yeah,
Yeah.
the website just dropped it. So there's those types of things are where you're going to really maximize your lead gen and take it to the next level is by leading with the importance of data, the importance of marketing operations, and you can't rush more leads to a broken system and expect better results. So this really is the big opportunity for marketers in 2024.
Yeah.
And
I'd say
uh,
speed is a huge deal. As you mentioned, the
yeah,
immediate versus the 3 week call. Speed is such a big deal. And that's why we built our lead solutions, the alerting, the dashboarding, and the integrations. It all happens in real time because it's just that big a deal. If somebody needs something, they want an answer. They
yeah,
want to learn more now. They don't want to wait 3 weeks to maybe get a call back.
yeah, or certain industries feeling consumers pulling back, it's even more important. Every lead becomes that much more valuable, right?
Mhm.
I know everyone's always interested in trends and what's going on right now in the industry. So we do want to hit on a few things that we see happening, what we're hearing from Google. AI obviously is impacting search. Google's had a lot of different AI products over the years, and they've obviously been rolling more and more out publicly, and there's rolling out new AI models. And it really is that there's this AI powered future of search that we all have to just accept and own. We have
Yeah.
AI overviews. There are changes in organic search. There's AI impact on Google Ads. And a lot of this, just from a trend perspective, so that you can, if someone asks about it, some of the biggest opportunities are around data-driven audiences. So if uh, you know, creating audiences and curating audiences from behavior or what you know is your best fit customer, absolutely an important pillar of digital marketing still, but Google does have a lot more ability to use AI to analyze vast amounts of data and create audiences that don't necessarily that aren't accessible to you in the same way as they are to Google, right?
Yeah.
So AI-driven audiences is huge. More dynamic bidding. So Google Ads, um, their AI algorithms can really analyze real-time data and adjust bids for each auction. So that really maximizes the return on ad spend and also just doing better contextual targeting. So creating meaningfully specific ads, right? You might hear people say that the creative is the targeting on certain platforms. So the more specific your creative is, the better and more aligned the landing page is, that's going to allow Google's AI to match you to the right user intent. And frankly, it's the same for Microsoft advertising because they basically follow suit with whatever Google does.
Yeah,
Uh,
but I would say that Microsoft, of course, has the open AI and the Chat GPT on their side as
mhm,
well. So they are, they continue to go back and forth and who's the best AI at any
mhm.
given time. So
Yeah, it is interesting. Even search generative experience is what the AI overviews used to be called. Google's done a lot of testing with that even this year. At one point there was the search generative experience summaries on up to 80% of searches, and now they've really peeled that back, and now it's called AI overviews. So
yeah,
Google whole point is to match user intent, right, with the content that they're serving. And so I think if you are looking to, I think this just drives home the importance of having your every location's data being absolutely on point, updated, correct. It's like it's feeding the algorithm, so to say, the correct information. There's plenty of good reviews that are recent. That kind of thing
Yeah, that
will,
structured data that we touched on earlier with
yeah.
things and all that, that is what's driving these things.
Mhm.
Google's ingesting it. All the AIs are ingesting that structured data, and that's how they're able to make all of these suggestions and summaries. And you want to make sure that it's right.
Yeah. So, and that even leads to just the market context of AI growing in importance for your digital presence is, it makes even more of a case for making sure that you're investing correctly with franchisees and getting franchisees on board. I know that's a big question. How do you get franchisees to buy into digital marketing if you don't quite have the data? You also, it's looking at the trends at what their personal experience is with search and how it's changing and how they go about things, because the way they're searching is probably the way their customers are searching, right? And so it's having accurate information is the real tangible point that connects with franchisees. Similar to SEO or similar to AI, SEO had a big update in March of 2024, and they are really prioritizing helpful content. So something that's high quality, informative. If you're making content for franchisees, the more localized and personal that content is, the better. There's
Yeah.
just there's a reduced spam tolerance. So um, you know, trying to have SEO optimized content that's too manipulative or has too much keyword stuffing and generic content across locations, it just does not do anything anymore. Because it's ultimately about the rewarding search experience, which is giving the information as quickly as possible so people can convert, right? It's having
Totally.
them convert quickly. What are you seeing on these sort of?
Yeah, I think you're hitting the nail on the head there. You need to have the helpful information that lets people do the types of investigation they want to do. They want people these days want to learn more about your business and make sure that you're qualified to meet their needs, and if that's buying a product or selling a service, you know, seeing examples of those things and being able to do enough research to be confident that they want to move to the next step, and then getting them to the next step as fast as possible.
Yeah, that's great. So really looking in, how do you maximize local lead gen? We dive in with an example here, right? I think good lead gen, like we said, it goes all the way down to the reporting in your BI dashboard, and it goes all the way up to the targeting, right? And the how are you targeting what's coming into the very top of your funnel. And so if you look at the digital path to purchase, all of your touch points to maximize your lead gen should be totally aligned to your best fit personas. And you can have different campaigns for your different personas, right? And so you think about the customer journey, it's anything but a straight line. You've got people zigzagging through. There's a search, and then they read something, and then later on they search, and they search again, and then they're on their desktop, and maybe they're on their mobile phone, and then they get an email. So you've got all these different touch points to have someone become a customer, and it's about optimizing all of those touch points to uh, capture data and then be able to use that data effectively at each stage of the funnel. So with awareness, let's say this is for a home cleaning business. Zooming in, just looking at awareness, you have first party data, where first party data is data where you can own the data. right? You know, based on someone giving you the data or someone interacting with you, it's your business data, right? You can look for trends and insights to help you make decisions and increase conversions. Um, it's tracking your top of funnel customer journey. It's looking at the trends of, wow, we have 5 different service offerings, but people are only converting on one. It's building hyperlocal awareness with hyperlocal insights. So figuring out across your locations, how are different campaigns resonating and how are you optimizing at the location level? So and even with this mega millennial persona here, a millennial mom in Seattle, Megan's going to be in multiple audiences before she even starts interacting with you, right? The different ad platforms will have her available to target in these different, you know, different uh, audiences, right? And based on
Yeah.
being in market or demographic. So I don't know, how are you seeing with awareness, building audiences with data working really well right now?
I mean, I think awareness in general, when you're talking about increasing your local lead generation, is really, really tempting to skip a lot of the awareness, you know, strategies, right? Like you're focused on low funnel, getting people in your door. But if people don't know who you are, or they are new to the area, or maybe you're new to the area, you need to really drive that awareness for, hey, I'm a business that is here. I'm right in your neighborhood, and I do exactly what you're looking for. So it's hugely important. Um,
Mm. And then that also allows you to start curating these awareness audiences. So it's the custom audiences, right? You know, ideal audiences based on relevant keywords, URLs, apps. So you can create audiences based on activity they've done with other websites and online activities. You can
yeah,
see affinity audiences, right? Based on what they're passionate about, their habits and interests. You can use that. You can even target people and connect something that's unrelated to your business to that affinity audience that they're in. When they're in market, right? So you have users based on their recent search history and online activity to really ramp up, for in market and remarketing. Once users have interacted with your business, that's where a lot of conversions come from. It's the fifth time they come to your website.
yeah,
Uh,
totally.
Another uh, area here is consideration.
Yeah. So as people get closer to wanting to engage, you get a lot more insights from what is called zero party data. You can think about all the different things you can gather from customers through surveys and quizzes. There's so much data that they're willing to give you that doesn't cost you anything, and you can ask just about any question you want to them, right? And it's all shared voluntarily, so that allows you to create that hyper personalized marketing moment across all these different channels. And like you mentioned, the retargeting is a big piece of this as well, because you could do some searches, sign up for the newsletter, you get retargeted on Instagram, Google, CTV, even all these things work together to get them to that next step.
And that important next step is purchase.
Purchase. That's right. Yeah, you gotta make all that hard work that you've done up front and collecting all the data, making all the audiences, doing all the targeting, and all of that really doesn't come to any benefit to you until someone purchases something, right? So you got to make that a slam dunk. And if you do all those things right, you're going to make everything easier for you at the end. So getting your local teams with lead insights, making sure that they have those key details at their fingertips, all the notes, all the, you know, how they've interacted with you all the way up until this point. Having that all right in front of them is a way that you can build that personalized conversation, gain somebody's trust, and make that conversation easier. Um,
Yeah, I think especially when franchisees they might feel like they want more leads, and then they say they want more leads, and then also they don't know if the leads are closing or not. They can't quite tell if it's, if leads are converting. I think it's that's where you can start diving into the operational challenges, right? And also looking at maybe your cost per lead is actually higher, but the amount of customers that you get, right, balances that out. And your return on ad spend is actually much higher with a higher cost per lead. So it just depends on how well it converts all the way down the funnel. And if you really explain that to franchisees, and a lot of franchisees don't have any background in digital marketing, right? So
Right.
being able to show multiple examples of that is a really important piece of the education.
Yep. And
Um,
one last note on that is when somebody fills out a form, they're giving you all the information that they think you should need or have to get them to that next step. So if they're interested in a certain thing or a certain service and they've told you that, they expect you to know that. So when you talk to them or on the phone or in person or wherever, um, if they have to repeat that whole conversation, that's not a great user experience.
that's such a great point. Um, I think when you look at maximizing, another really important part is testing, right? Testing and learning your way to success. What
Mhm.
what tests do you see really making an impact, Herb?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different things you can kind of tune towards in here in the lead workflow. I think a lot of them come down to what offers are available or um, the seasonality is listed here is, different things are popular at different times of the year, maybe. And being aware of that, making sure that you have those things in place is, a great way to, you know, keep that conversation going and have that next new thing ready to go. Um, having the A/B test on your website, different headlines, different calls to action, always looking to see what performs the best. And maybe it's down to certain color combinations, and sometimes um, you know red cars sell better than blue cars. All that kind of thing makes a difference.
Yeah, and that chart on the right, I think is helpful because that's something that we see over and over again is that localization leads to increased performance, right? And there's this quick hit of the more localized something is, the better the performance goes, and just the more you can continue to execute at the location level with the data and decisions that are happening, the better that you're going to see conversions and new customer revenue. Um, you know, we're all about sharing details and really giving you all more advanced in-depth strategies to improve. So this is a sample optimization cadence where if you are launching either with an agency or an in-house team, uh, I think having something like this that you give to them, say this is what I want, or you're creating your own. It really is. It's looking at, okay, how is the account performing on these days? You're doing a check-in. Your daily, you're looking for system red flags to investigate. It's crazy. Even sometimes agencies will miss that there was a something was flagged and ad was paused, right? And so how can that system be set up correctly so you're handling it? You want to look at location rollup reporting. So looking across all locations, right? A week starts to become enough of a window of time to look at, see if there's any trends popping, looking at week over week. And then really the month and the quarter start to really illuminate what's going on in the market and with a certain location. Um, and then it's a good idea doing one monthly strategic performance review per account and looking at different account optimizations that were implemented, because you also want to track account optimizations so that well, why is the performance the way it is? And can those account optimizations be, um, you know, shared across other accounts or campaigns or even multiple franchise brands that you are in charge of managing?
Mhm.
And making sure that you're using tech to create changes to bid strategies, budget allocation across channels, right? This is where there's a lot of great optimization and automation that can come in where you can take the campaigns across locations, across channels, and really figure out the allocation correctly.
Yeah.
And these are the kinds of things. I don't know, Herb, do you want to say anything else about that one?
Yeah, I think that those are all great examples of optimizations and what you should do at different time periods. I think, one of the keys is to make sure you give changes a period to breathe. Make sure you can really tell that it had enough time to get through the learning period. All these platforms have what they call the learning period, and you can't just be constantly making changes to your campaigns, sometimes multiple changes at once, because then you don't know if anything's really working or not, or what change really drove that increase or that decrease in the performance.
Yeah, no, very true. Um, we're going to go ahead and move to the Q&A. These are just the areas that are impacted as you start to optimize, really understanding all of these KPIs and how those are activated and operationalized in your system. That's your roadmap.
Yep.
So any questions, definitely go ahead and enter them in. We did have quite a few questions that came in with people registered, so we did want to uh, answer those questions that came in. I mean, what marketing mix is working well right now for franchisees? I think we answered that, I think, with the all of the above, what we were just talking about. But I know it definitely is a mix of offline and online. We've heard some franchise networks having success offering flat rate incentives to technicians for placing yard signs and engaging with customers directly. That was one tip that we heard recently. Also having just establishing veteran franchisees as captains to mentor and encourage newer franchisees to promote best practices around location marketing. So again, with that online, offline, people need more accountability if it's something that they're actually going to need to do themselves. So whether that's being the mayor of their town, going out and shaking hands, and then also complementing that with the digital channels. It really comes down to the customer journey and how your customers buy, where they are when they're doing information cert gathering, and just understanding, are they on social? Are they on, right? But most franchisees, we go in order to just make sure that their search is honed in and expand to, depending on the customer journey, uh, social or video or CTV are good potential add-ons, right? We'll look at
Yeah.
that.
I think video is just continuing to grow, and I think that's going to be a really important cornerstone in digital marketing strategies in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. How can I localize my brand? That was a great question. I think localization tokens are huge. How would you answer that question, Herb? How you've been localizing brands here and that started for years and years and years. What are the best practices?
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, you want to make sure that you're getting the local targeting in place. You're getting some um, local experiences from that particular location, anything that's unique about them, their area. A lot of times you might be the Raleigh location, but you're in Cary.
Mm,
That makes a difference, right? And then on your website, again, you want to have that local about us. You want to have those local pictures of jobs that you've completed, the before and the after. Um, People want to see your specific examples. They don't just want the generic, here's my bathroom before, here's my bathroom after, and everybody's is the same. They want to see that you have great staff and you're gonna make mine look awesome.
yeah, that's true. It really is true. I mean, the difference in conversion between authentic photos on a Google business profile or landing page featuring a franchisee and local staff, it converts so much better than uh, generic or everything's the same, nothing's
Yeah,
personalized because it just builds trust. Local builds trust. That's the bottom line.
100%.
Uh, what are benchmarks we should be comparing our results to? Uh, this is really just depending on your industry. We can actually work with our Google reps and and we actually even have our own benchmarks as well. So depending on what industry you're in, we can definitely share, generic trend data that we can pull from different industries that we work with, but also we can work with Google to see what kind of trends they're seeing. So that's definitely a helpful benchmark. But then I always say that the best approach is benchmarking your own data, right? So it's
You
what,
just want to be able to look at your own data and make sure that
yeah,
you're improving.
right. And also, does it make sense to get if the service or product you're selling has a value of $1,000, right? How much do you need to pay for a lead and a conversion in order to make it worth your money, right?
Mhm.
Is it worth it to do it at this price? And then start optimizing down, and you can find what what makes sense for your business and benchmark against that. So that's really the best approach.
Yeah, and that can happen again at your single location, but it's even more powerful in a franchise or a brand where it's multi-location, right? You can look across, 100 locations or more and find the high performers, find the not so high performers, and
Mhm.
then find the differences in their strategies to make improvements.
Yeah.
And that's that's what we use our tool set to do. So
Last question here. What team strategies work to help franchisees understand the rising costs of lead gen? Um, I think that this is a big question to end on here. I think that it's really looking at our lead gen costs actually rising, right? Because for your industry, is there something you can do to uh, change the campaign focus? Can you find new ways of converting for slightly different keywords, or right, changing your bidding strategies, trying to lower that cost of lead directly in platform is definitely a good also first place to start. But I think
yeah,
helping franchisees understand that macro factors do make a difference. So how much inventory there is on a platform. For a good, real tangible example is, how during COVID, everyone was home and watching tons of YouTube video. Well, that drastically dropped the cost of leads and advertising on YouTube because there was so much more ad inventory because everyone was watching YouTube, right?
mhm,
So that's an example people really get. And just drilling down to the hyper local level, what's going on in your market? How much competition is there? You can look
yeah,
at auction insights and see, uh, you're showing up on the top of the search this amount of time, and you can see which websites are actually showing up in your market in your same searches ahead of you, and if you're paying more or less. So that's another really good one to say, look, there are people in your market that are willing to pay more than you're paying right now, and that's the bottom line of why it's more expensive.
mhm.
What else would you say about that, Herb, to as we close out here?
Yeah, I think my closing comment there would be more of the more specific you can be, the better off you'll be in terms of cost. Things cost less when there's less competition for it. And when you're generic and you're just talking about, you know, general home improvement, there's going to be a ton of competition and a ton of competition near you likely. So if you're going to be more specific, hit your niche, um, that will definitely help make sure you're hitting an even better audience at a more effective price.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, the more hyper local is what we like to say. It's hyper local is the way you maximize your lead gen. So with that, we are happy to thank you very much for your time here. If you have any questions, my email is here, but we'll also follow up with people with the recording and slides, and then also share a audit that you can do on your lead gen and look at the franchise digital footprint overall to see if you're really maximizing your lead gen opportunities. So with that, thank you so much for attending today, and we'll be following up with the audit and recordings.